I'd like to beforehand. Okay, here goes. Please find below the outline of the complaint. Alright, I'll just go through each point and then I'll ask you what you're going to do about it, and that way we can get it done quickly. Okay, so I'm going through a complaint from Joanne Morton, or Morton, at Look Ahead Housing, sent to Emma, E-M-M-A, Lucas, on my behalf. The complaint that I made and instructed her to do, and my name is Ronan, R-O-N-A-N, Blaney, B-L-A-N-E-Y. And the complaint is a very simple complaint. It's in 5 points. The first point is, Mr. Blaney explained he was served notice at the same time that he received a re-diagnosis. Mr. Blaney explained that his former diagnosis of schizophrenia has been assessed and that his re-diagnosis of Asperger's led to a notice being served. Now, that is a very serious accusation. What do you intend to do to look at that?
Okay. About it on the notice served, and the notice that man. What made you think that?
You're here to clarify it. What made me think there was a re-diagnosis? The actual 11th, I got re-diagnosed.
Yeah.
And I got a letter from the Maudsley Hospital on the hold on here, on the 21st of July. Now, that wasn't taken to be the full report. The full report from the Maudsley came out, I have it here, on 30th of November 2012, and it was sent out by post and it arrived on Tuesday around the 5th.
And when did they do the...
When the actual notice of eviction came about, it was handed to me on the 5th. The same day the Maudsley officially gave me a 20-page report. Yes, June the 11th.
June
the 11th.
Yeah, it's just to help me the chronology. And you received the letter on 30th of November.
I received the letter at the end of July, but I actually received the Maudsley report, the full report, that's 20 pages in length. I received this, as you can see, it's written here, on the 30th of November.
Yeah, I can see that, the 30th of November, but the first letter was at the end of July.
On the same day, I also got dropped as a WLMHT patient, and I got a notice of eviction. It was all done very quickly on the same day, and I don't believe in coincidences that are this big. One at the same time possible. 3 things at the same time on the same day, although probable, highly improbable and highly unlikely, and I believe this should be looked into.
Okay. What would you like to be done on this? Notice, only a notice. It says to enforce it is a long process that would ought to do it. There is no plan to do it. So, okay. The notice is worrying you, and the timing of it. Yeah. I can suspend it if that's a big worry.
Okay. There are several possible reasons for the notice being given out. The number one is that the wrongdoing up to this point in time was so wrong they just wanted to sweep it under the carpet and get me out quickly. But the alternative that's less serious, which is they just wanted to help me and engage with the service, I have in writing a letter from Look Ahead Housing on the 14th of January 2013, and it says here, the reason behind the notice was to prompt you to engage with the service. The reason why a notice to evict was to make me deal with them, when legally I don't have to deal with them. The reason behind such a heavy legal action was to heavily encourage me to do something. Now, this in my mind is a threat to engage in a care service that I do not want to engage with, that I have to volunteer for, and as such, threatening someone with eviction for lack of engaging with a care service is a lack of voluntary agreement. And to me, this threat is very serious, and that's the lesser reason behind them giving me the notice of eviction. Now, the lesser reason isn't itself very serious.
Ronan, you have a tenancy agreement. Tenancy agreement, all residents
Okay,
have
we are diverting. I believe we've looked at this and he knows what the full details are, and he doesn't. I'm only here to help him clarify the investigation and how to find information, and I've shown him the information. It's on file at Look Ahead, and he can find it, so we can go on now to come to point number 2.
Yeah. Can I, just before we pass to number 2,
put into the community into unsupported housing. I was moved into Look Ahead under very high priority on the PAT application. They did not tell me about it. The PAT application expired within a year. I should have been moved out in a few weeks. I wasn't. They kept harrying me into a care plan that I wouldn't agree to, and I was told before coming in by Ken Little, social worker, that they wouldn't go near me or put me into care, and that I'd be out in a few weeks and living in a flat independently in the community, local to where I live with my Asperger's syndrome. That's important, the routine. And where I lived, local to where I lived, would not be a place unsuitable for someone as delicate as me as a council block like they would before. It would just be an ordinary, good quality piece of housing in the community. In other words, a 2 up, 2 down around Brackenbury Village or around off Hammersmith Road or something, where it's just a dwelling like any other dwelling, probably under the organisation or whatever you call it of a housing association.
So basically what you'd like is that, I think we'll come back to this. One other point you have.
I have to clarify this here. What I said was move into the community unsupported, independent. Supported basically means that there are strings attached and I'm under care that I haven't volunteered for. It's almost a roundabout way of me agreeing that a condition of me leaving to live independently in the community does I do it in care, which is a contradiction in terms. I want to live unsupported, independent in the community, and I want to live in a dwelling similar to a private dwelling. I was told when I moved in here I would not be in a 2 up, 2 down, and I was in very high priority when I was moved in here. But that PAT application, they did not tell me about it, and it closed, and they let it close without telling me about it. And if they acted on the conditions I moved in here, I'd have been out in a couple of weeks or a month, and there'd be no waiting list because I was under such high priority, because it was a police that moved me in here quickly for my own safety, so we moved out quickly for my own safety, that the priority alone meant a lack of a waiting list and a lack of how are they going to assess me. I was on very high priority under that PAT application, and they allowed it to expire to my detriment.
Okay, thank you for that, and noted that about moving into community. No, it's okay. I have made appointments, so I have all the time for you. Don't worry.
Point number 2, Mr. Blaney is unhappy about measures taken in regard to the repair of his cooker. He received a letter stating that the repairs can only be made if his cooker is cleaned. Mr. Blaney believes that he is required to submit to ongoing monitoring of the cleanliness of his cooker, and he feels that this...
I understand it is so dark on it. What I can help with...
Okay, let me stop you there, please. Note on this particular point, my community support worker at the time at WLMHT, Nicola Wakeham, examined my cooker after they said it was dirty, and at the time, and she found it to be completely clean. John Hunt phoned up WLMHT and was making odd comments about the cleanliness of my cooker and having people come in each night to support me in the cleaning of my cooker and to stand around my flat. Now, the cooker was clean. She verified that what was said about it being unclean was untrue, and she also noted and put in my file with WLMHT and brought to their communication the oddness of John Hunt's phone call.
Ronan, can I offer you something?
I was offered Mosaic and CRT to help me clean my flat in the past, and they did not say the engineer would come in once and clean it. They wanted ongoing support, which was Mosaic or CRT. Now, I've had bad experiences with them in the past, and that's why I did not want them coming in each night.
Okay. And what I can offer you is this one-off help you to cooker so that the engineer...
I am not mentally ill. I've been undiagnosed. I have cleaned my cooker. Now, I do not want anyone coming in cleaning my cooker, and if there's conditions attached to my cooker being repaired, I would rather the repair not to go ahead. Okay, that's it.
So
That's number 2. Mr. Blaney believes that a court transcript is not a true reflection of events. I was not able to determine if Look Ahead staff gave statements or whether it was the evidence of CMHT. This means that while I was in a psychiatric hospital, written evidence was submitted about my misbehaviour. I did not have access to that written evidence, and I'd like to know if Look Ahead contributed to that written evidence. I'd like to know if it was the evidence of CMHT, and I would like to know, I can't do too much in this because it's too much in-house, so I would need Joseph here to clarify and tell me what he can do to look into this point.
I understand.
Joseph here has a problem understanding the point that's in the complaint. From what he says of what he understands, it shows that he needs help in understanding. When on the 29th of February 2012, at a tribunal hearing at Charing Cross Hospital, written evidence was submitted about me in the building misbehaving and in the community misbehaving. Now, what was put down there, what was mentioned, was untrue, and I can't repeat what was mentioned. But that written evidence, what Joseph needs to find out about this point, if he obtains this written evidence, it will give him the answer he needs for his investigation. And I will give Joseph now a copy of the court report with the written evidence referred to, so he can seek it out, which will help him fully investigate the report in a way that justifies the complaint. And this is his clarification as how to get the information.
Thank you for clarification. Now, not aware of it, but I'm happy to look into that. This is my job as investigator. Copy of that, I'll be grateful.
Yes, I do, and I will look for it now, and if I can't find it, remind me at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on. I will give a copy at the end of the meeting.
That's fine, thank you.
Point number 3.
Number 4?
Yes, number 4. The cooker was done. Mr. Blaney believes that Look Ahead were responsible for the double prescribing of his medication. He believes this to be a deliberate act taking out for financial gain to Look Ahead.
Okay.
I may be wrong on that.
Yeah. Now, YouSefHabtu does not prescribe. Same time, I think Sievert were, I think, raised by, once you became eating, surplus medication, pharmacy for disposal. Now you're...
For clarification for Joseph, because I believe Joseph is a good man, he's just going along what he's told, and what he's been told is inaccurate. I have always self-medicated, and in all the self-medicating, the medication I'm on when I'm off section, I do not have to take it if I don't want to, legally, but that's nonsense. No, don't put anything down. What I would like to say is the medication that I was supposed to take, when I was self-medicating and they knew it, they were taking medication into the building and picking it up on my behalf, and also they were handing medication out to me in the hallway. Now, they were picking up the medication on my behalf from a separate pharmacy to Richford Gate, and I got a copy here in physical evidence. It says 352 Goat Hawk Road.
It's delivery, they don't collect it, you see.
It's delivered here.
That's what
yes,
said, because
while I already had one from Richford Gate. Now they knew I was self-medicating and they continued the delivery to here. That is either bad, inefficient administration, or for some other reason they might have thought they were still prescribing it to me on paper. Either way, they were handing out medication to me in the hallway under camera for months at a time, and they did it to other people as well. So the idea that they don't hand out medication to us and stand over us when we're taking our medication is not true. Joseph doesn't work after 6, so we can say he wasn't there after 6 when it happened.
Clearly, here the evidence says that it is dated 31st January 2000. Normally, let me ask you this. Where would you like... changed it and they were I'm wrong, please do correct me. Yeah. Where would you?
I do not have a care plan with Look Ahead. There is no reason for Look Ahead to be handing me medication under their care, and for them to say when they're handing me the medication, they're not prescribing it to me or giving it to me. They're giving it to me, and they've taken my medication. They can only do this under a care plan, and no care plan was agreed to. When asked how Mr. Blaney would like these issues to be resolved, he stated that he had no faith in the management team and he would like to be given priority to move out to independent accommodation within a month or a short period of time. I'm copying Mr. Blaney has agreed so that he is aware I've passed on this complaint for him and verified that my recording is an accurate outline of his complaint, and I agree it is. So, what are you going to do to move me on?
We covered a bit this, and your PATH application form was confirmed. I'm in contact with PATH. My understanding is your application was submitted to PATH. Now, what they had asked was, they requested purpose. You provided them that. Okay. You want me to... Well, this is about Olympic... I think they were inviting Prodit. Through the actual, because we've got some photos. Somebody who actually took part of. Can I ask you, Ronan, why did your ID? They had requested
outside the complaint. Okay, I'm now looking for what I said I'd look for earlier. The court report.
Can we stay on invited then?
I will answer this in due course.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I am now handing Joseph a copy of the court report for the 29th of February 2012, where written evidence was given, and there's a question as to whether or not Look Ahead provided or were included in that written evidence, on which I was kept in the hospital, and there was an attempt to put and it had an effect on my diagnosis. Now, that written evidence in which they based that decision, I did not have access to that written notice, and I need to know whether or not Look Ahead had input, or that written evidence. I need to know whether or not Look Ahead had input into that written evidence, because the written evidence contained a lie. Dr. Walsh read out that it said in the written evidence that I was doing behaviour that was basically criminal, but I've never been before a court of law on any criminal charges, and I need access to that. In order for John to help him in his investigation, he must obtain this written evidence so he can defend, or he can answer the question that I've put together on that point in the complaint. The point of the complaint is, where's the thing about the written evidence? On point number 3, Mr. Blaney believes that a court transcript is not a true reflection of events. I was not able to determine if Look Ahead staff gave statements or whether it was the evidence of CMHT. Now, at that court hearing, the written evidence on which they based their decision, on that written evidence, that has to be accessed so as to find out whether or not Look Ahead gave statements that was included in that written evidence, and see what the truth of those statements is.
Yeah. Ronan, can you show me the...
this is the end of the... Oh yes, one last thing. Okay. I'll give you a copy of this.
But happy to look into that.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, one last thing. In the time I was here and under your care, when I was categorised as being schizophrenic, why did you think I was schizophrenic? How did it come about that in your experience of dealing with me over time that you believed I was paranoid schizophrenic, especially when I may have been categorised as simply schizophrenic when I came in here?
It was in non-CMHT by a PATH team. That's how it works. They don't do the assessment ourselves. When we are not qualified to do that, because it's the doctors who will...
Okay, I believe Joseph has been of help. The last bit is just basically a caveat to the complaint. There's strictly nothing to do with it. And basically, the phone is ringing. But basically what this means is that when I was here, I was re-diagnosed as autistic. And it's unlikely that I'm the only person at West London Mental Health who's also autistic that's been improperly diagnosed. Now, I'd like to know what look ahead. Last bit. We've got to get this done quickly because it's costing me money. I would like to know, since I was wrongly diagnosed with schizophrenia and re-diagnosed as Asperger's, and it's highly unlikely that I'm the only person, in mental health, they look out for this according to guidelines, and the guideline I believe that they're supposed to look out for it under is Royal College Council Report CR136 Autistic Spectrum in Adults. Now, I understand I'm asking a lot, but I'd like to know what you've done under this Royal College report, since you do the work of mental health, in looking out for mental illness, how you incorporated this into your policy.
Now, all the residents we have, or yourself, you have been the client of this. It's not as that severe care.
Thank you very much for your information. I would like to give you the report, but this would involve you in my care, and that was not a condition of me moving in. I would, however, like if Olu could be the person to look out for autism or autistic spectrum disorder, and if she could be versed in CR136. Locally in the area, it is recommended in the CR136 Council Report on Autistic Spectrum in Adults that there is a local champion or an organisation champion. I think that Olu definitely has the skills of subtlety, and she also has a postgraduate degree, which means she's educated to high standard to take on board the CR136, and I would ask that she gets to read this and is the person who looks out for autistic spectrum in this project and makes any recommendations that Joseph might need.
I understand that you want to
I'm very happy here, and I hope Olu enjoys herself with the CR136, because I know she likes to do something positive, and she likes to use the brain that God gave her, and she's very highly qualified, and she's underused. And I'm appreciative of John putting to Olu that she can take on board the CR136 Royal College Council Report CR136, looking out for autistic spectrum in adults.